Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hope you're all doing excellent. Today we're going to continue on with the RX7 project, and if you didn't see the last episode, we got the intercooler system all fixed up, and our next step in getting this baby started is the fuel system. So we got a little package here from Amazon. Go ahead and pop this baby open. Boom! Some AN fittings. And some -6 AN line. The first thing we need to do before we start putting this stuff on is start with the fuel tank. We need to plumb E85 compatible tubing all the way from the back, patch it to the hard lines that run under the car, and then run the fuel lines from the hard lines in the front to the fuel rails. We also have to install the fuel pressure regulator, the E85 sensor, and the fuel filter. So we got to get that all mocked up and get that installed. So first step, drain the fuel tank. Okay, so sufficiently got her butt up in the air. Now we got to get down here and find the drain plug. Okay, so the only plug I see is right here. So I guess we just unscrew that. And the way we've got the car leaned, that should be good to get all of the fuel out. So I'm going to get my eye protection and maybe a mask as well, just in case, as we mess with all this, and get that fuel drained. How old do you reckon this gasoline is?
10 years?
At least, huh?
Yeah, it's old gas.
So we got a bucket. Well, it's a tote from Walmart.
High quality.
We're about to crack the seal here. And then just quickly slide it underneath, I guess. That's my plan. That's the extent of my plan. As soon as I get this on here. Oh boy, it's turning. It's gonna be smelly. Oh, it's a weird color. Okay, it's coming out. Seeing. Well, now that the tank's drained, we got to remove all of the heat shielding from above the exhaust to get the tank to drop down. So we're going to just zip that off with our little Ryobi impact gun, and then get to that fuel tank. And avoid the dripping gas. It's like Mario. Yep, there. Okay, let's see. Here. Why? I'm wearing eye protection.
You already get messed up?
Yeah. Don't lose that. Uh-oh. Did you see where I went?
No.
Ah!
We'll find it.
Famous last words for anything labeled 10mm.
Yeah.
Whoa! Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay.
I got it. I got the shield.
Okay. Jesus. Okay.
There's a rat's nest right there.
Yes, there sure is. Oh, God. All right. We're gonna clean this out and then continue. Jesus.
Found it.
Oh, thank God. How did it defy gravity like that? So what we took the shields off for is to get up here with straps on the fuel tank, and these are the bolts up above the sway bar that we need to get to drop it down. So now we're going to get those undone and drop the tank. So ultimately we can get these rubber fuel lines right here changed out. There's 3 of them, which is part of the big mystery, because there should just be a feed and a return. So we need to figure out what that 3rd line is for, and then replace those with the E85 compatible ones. Otherwise these will just dissolve away and then we'll have big problems. Okay. Cool. There we go. Okay, there's the 2 bolts for the straps, and then this strap, so it doesn't fall on my face, has this like hook up here, which is cool. So now I unhook that, and here she comes. It's like a magical unicorn. Oh, I still hear some gas in there. Okay, where are we at? All right.
And touchdown.
Okay, cool. Well, you can see more of the rat's nest. Ugh, gross. Okay, so right under here is what we're trying to get at. We need to replace these rubber lines right here with a PTFE E85 compatible AN line, which we're going to run just as a hose. So we're going to unclamp these, find the same lengths, and then cut the same lengths rather, and then we're going to reattach those using some better than OEM hose clamps, and then we'll button this fuel tank back up, and then we can move to the front. Okay, so we're replacing this old rubber with this 85 compatible line. So we're just going to stretch it out to the same length so we can install it in the exact same manner so it fits with the OEM mounting and everything. So we're going to put some tape right here, and we're going to go ahead and mark it and cut ourselves a piece. Stretch that flat. Paint pen's not the best, but can't find the Sharpie at the moment. There we go.
Oh yeah, I can barely see it on there, but that's okay. We still see it nonetheless.
Yep. And so we're going to use our Dremel. Eye protection is on.
Sandals are on.
Sandals are on. And here we go. Good.
Sandals, check. We got them.
Okay, so there are the new fuel lines right up there. The one line that is still rubber is from the evap valve right there. I'm not going to change that. This should be just fine. But these ones brand new. So now we can put the tank back up, drop the butt down, and then we can put the fuel pump in. So we'll do that now. So now the car's on the ground, fuel tank's back in. Now I'm going to be working on changing the fuel pump right down here. And this is our new unit right here. I'm going to go ahead and pop this cover off and get started changing that out. This is of course a higher flow pump, and it is also going to be able to be compatible with the E85 that we'll be running. So I'm going to get that started right now. And there we go. One nasty, crusty fuel pump assembly. So we'll go ahead and get this out and then work on it somewhere easier. Okay, so here's the assembly sitting outside. Obviously lots of years in there. The other challenge is I need to get this fitted here, new fuel sock fitted here, and lastly, this connection is obviously different than what's up here, and I have been supplied this pigtail, so I have to figure out what connection's there, because this is the fuel level sensor. So that's one set of wires in this stock harness, and then one set is power for the pump, power and ground. So that's the next challenge there, is to get that set up and obviously get this all cleaned up. Okay, so I had to take a moment to clean this thing up because it was just driving me crazy. So I got that cleaned up, and I think what we're going to need to do is we're going to take this fuel pump and put it in here, but because the wires don't pass through this section, what I'm going to do is cut these off and splice them into the stock connections, so the power or positive will go there and get spliced in here, and then I'm going to use the original factory connection, which grounds to the back of this through this bolt hole right here, because the ground comes down and just attaches to this whole assembly here from the wiring loom. So I'm going to go ahead and splice those together. There were some butt connectors provided with this kit, so I'll crimp those together and then pop those on, and then hopefully we'll be on our way. Okay, so we've got the butt connectors crimped on here. This is the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and reattach these two. Well, once I get the feed line pulled in and the sock connected, I'll go ahead and reattach those, and then I'm going to clean this up a bit. If you saw there was actually a rat's nest in the back of the car above the fuel tank, and it looks like they may have started to get to the shielding on these wires. So I'm going to wrap those in electrical tape, clean this up, and then what we're going to do to make sure this all works is I'm going to jump this with the battery and make sure the pump runs when we apply current to the correct part of this plug here. Okay, so I finished putting it together. We've got the fuel sock here. I've secured this in here a little bit extra just with a steel hose clamp. We've got our connecting piece for the output. Pickup is here. Cleaned it all up. Got the ground connected. Got the power connected here. Went ahead and touched all these up, made sure we don't have any exposed wire with some electrical tape, and we're good. So I've got it set up to the battery back there with a little simple jumper. I've just got the charging cables holding on some pieces of wire, and I'm going to test it at the connection where it will go into the wiring harness. So I've got a little bowl right here, so let's see if this works. Here we go. It works. Fuel tank. And now we're going to be working in the front of the car to get the fuel lines ran to the fuel rails. First step here is going to be right down here, if we can see it. This is the stock fuel filter. We have our fuel lab replacement that's going to be going down there, and it's a similar size, and it does come with this U bracket and the other half of it there, and the stock mount is still there. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, take this apart, and see if I can use the stock mounting location and adapt this bracket to it. Okay, so here's the old fuel filter and the old bracket, new bracket, and our new Fuel Lab fuel filter. So what I want to do is use this piece of the bracket which bolts to the chassis. We're going to remove this and adapt this onto here so that this bolts right in place to the stock location. Alright, so we got our Fuel Lab filter installed nice and tight right down here using the stock bracket. Now we'll go ahead and start creating our lines. Okay, now before we hook up the fuel filter, we want to get all the last little bit of gasoline from the tank out, and we're going to empty it into this metal bucket. So Jeff's got the battery jumper back here, and he's going to jump the fuel pump, and then I'm going to run up and fill the bucket.
Yay!
Okay, so go ahead and... Okay. Oh yeah! Just a little bit of nasty old gas, but better to get this out instead of running it through the brand new fuel filter unnecessarily. So now, let's go ahead and hook up these lines. So here's the first conversion to the AN line. That's going to go right up here into the bottom of our fuel filter. Okay, so now that we've got the lines run up to the front, we need to remove the upper intake manifold so that we can lay out our two feed lines, our two return lines, our fuel pressure regulator, our E85 sensor, and then bring it back into the return line. And that will be done. Okay, so we got this guy right here, pre-made, supplied to us, Phoenix Industries fittings, and supplied by Lucky 7. And we can go to either side of the primary and secondary fuel rail. We just need to kind of lay out what we think is going to be the best fit. Why should it go from the front? And then feed comes from there, or should it go to the back? It's pretty much the same. Then we have to figure out where we want our fuel pressure regulator and E85 sensor.
Fuel pressure regulator.
Fuel pressure regulator, we're thinking something like this, which is why we have this bracket kind of set up here. Maybe rivet it to that and bolt it in using this stock hole in the firewall. But we're not sure where to put this guy. We'll have to noodle on it. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we're back. So we've been thinking about this for a little while, maybe about an hour or so, just discussing, figuring out what we wanted to do. We think we have a good idea. We want to feed the fuel rails here from the back. So we've got this laid out nicely. And then we're thinking we're going to use these U-turns from the front of the rails and just bring the return lines directly back along nice and tight underneath. Keeps it neat looking. And we were just trying to figure out where to mount the fuel pressure regulator and the E85 sensor. So since the return is down here, we're thinking we'll put the E85 sensor right over here. And we were still stumped on the fuel pressure regulator, but I think we might have found a good option. So can you show them where we have it on the intake manifold?
Blow!
So Jeff's going to hand that over now. We're going to try and set it down. If it clears...
One hand the intake manifold.
Nice. Pray for clearance. Close, so close. Okay, so we flipped the bracket to raise it up, and now we should be good to go to clear everything. We'll need to make sure to clear our throttle cable assembly, which we can move around a lot because we don't have the intercooler anymore, to make sure that works, but it looks good. Should clear everything. The return lines will come right up into here, go down here. We'll take it to our E85 sensor over here. So we're making our first AN lines ever, and it's not the prettiest, but I think it's going well. And then we're going to lay these out when the first ends are made, and then see which kind of connections we're going to use to make the best connection to the fuel pressure regulator. There we go. Cool. Not perfect, but it'll work. Look at all these tubes we got laid out. Alright, so now Jeff's going to hand me the intake manifold again, and we're going to see how close we got to the estimated length of these and what kind of fittings we need to have come off of the fuel pressure regulator. Let's go backwards. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I know this has been a bit of a long episode, but we just want to show you what we finished up here for the fuel line routing. So, we are missing one piece to be able to finish this system. We just need an adapter for up here. But down there is our fuel filter, so there's going to run a line from here to here. I'm going to hop in here and show you what's under the intake manifold again so you can see it all together. So, once we get that last fitting, the fuel comes in here to this Y piece and goes to the primary and secondary fuel rails from the back, here and here. These two U-turns bring it on the return, here and here, which goes into our fuel pressure regulator here. Out the bottom of that, right here, it comes down, goes around here, and goes into our E85 sensor. We have another U-turn right here, which brings it back out to the factory return line and back to the tank. So that's how we did it. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Always remember, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please also check out the Amazon links in the description if you want to purchase any of the items we used in today's video, and we'll see you in the next one.